Hello, everybody, and welcome to Apocalypse Movies. I am your host, and this is our Marvel Rewind show. Today, we are going to be recapping episode 4 of Loki, titled The Nexus Event. And with me, as always, I have my team, and we will be joined by Gio shortly. But those that are here, I have Jacob Bartley and Keith. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Not bad.
How you doing, Keith?
Not bad today.
Not bad.
Did Jake get pruned, Rachel? I don't know.
Kids just driving you nuts.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Sophia did practice.
Did Jake get pruned? Yes, I believe so.
Oh, wow.
Confirmed.
Hey, so is Jake hanging out with a bunch of other Jakes right now? Like,
he is.
What's going on?
I didn't realize I just didn't have my hat. That's my variant status is Boston Red Sox hat. But yeah, no, we are here to talk about episode 4 of Loki. Yeah, and we're just going to go around and talk about a bunch of stuff. One of the most busy episodes, I would say, since the premiere, and boy, oh boy, did this one not disappoint in the slightest. Gio told us last week that he read that 4 and 5 take you on a wild ride, and this man was correct because this episode was fan-freaking-tastic. At least in my opinion. What'd you guys think?
I loved it, and it made last episode better for me because I remember last week I was like, oh, it was a good episode, but it felt like not much happened. But if you watch them together, it's such a great, hour and a half of television. I don't know. It's hard to say what's my favorite episode yet, but
really?
I love. I mean, it's really hard. Yeah, I think this is the best one, but I think we have to wait and determine once the season's over. But I guess you could say that about any show. But yes, absolutely love this episode. But like I said, it made last week's better. So now I'm like, wait, do I like last week or this week more? So we'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it.
Keith, what'd you think?
I agree. Although I don't know. There were things revealed. I mean, obviously we got a little kind of a Wizard of Oz situation going on with the
called it.
Yeah, literally
said Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And I also said that the timekeepers were not real too.
Yeah,
so
you did say that.
Yeah.
Well, they're not those 3 things, at least. We don't know.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
They're not lizard aliens.
Right.
And what the,
but we still don't really know.
You knew they weren't real.
Yeah, exactly. But we still kind of don't really know what's going on. I mean, and obviously we still got 2 episodes coming.
Exactly.
Where there's going to be more revealed, but so we didn't necessarily. Well, for me personally, I still kind of was left like, well, we still didn't get totally. I don't know how much further we got in terms of trying to figure out what's going on. But it was definitely a good episode. In like stuff happened, and oh no. Mobius, what's going on there? Oh no! Although maybe
audible,
I don't know.
Gas.
What's going on
for me?
Yeah, right.
So
I went, oh no!
We'll get into it, but
yes.
I was like, "There's no way he's dead. There's no way he's really dead." And after seeing what happens to Loki, because actually, from the very first time I saw somebody pruned, I was like, "I don't think that actually kills them. I think it sends them somewhere or something like that.
Transports them to some weird." Who knows where, but
what'd you think, Gio?
First off, hi everyone. Sorry I'm
late.
Hi,
Gio.
My dinner arrived just as we started, so I might have beat the record. I ate a big Carl sandwich and a large fry in 6 minutes. So,
we will keep that as you are the record holder.
Jeez, yeah. Wow, talk about. For me, nonstop. The pacing was nearly flawless in this episode. From the moment it starts to the end, but then the post-credits, which we'll get to, it's just, I'm amazed. Again, like, for a show that I wasn't looking forward to early on and Loki jokes at it at some point in the episode. He's like, I've died like 5, 7. I've lost count of how many times I died.
Yeah.
And it's just, I was like, wow, yeah, this show is also self-aware. The pacing was excellent. There were great moments in here. I'm with you. I think Jacob said it. I don't think that anybody who got batoned actually die. They're just sent off somewhere else. So I don't think we've seen the end of Owen Wilson. But overall, maybe the best episode. It's crazy. A lot happens.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
Agreed.
So.
Well, I mean, we've already been talking about it, so let's just get into the pruning. What do we think? We saw 2 people in total get pruned, which was literally 2 of the 3 main characters, arguably, of this show.
And especially like other than Sylvie, right? They were the 2 to start the show, and
absolutely. So we saw Mobius got pruned, and we saw Loki, the freaking title character, get pruned. I audibly gasped when Mobius died. We should have expected it by now, but Marvel still surprises you. Like, you're like, oh, he just said that they're friends. Like, that should have been like, red flag. Here we go. Like,
so I love that moment because we still didn't, at that moment, we didn't know whether it really kills them or not. So in our heads, we're like, did Mobius just die? Like, is that the last time we're going to see him? And I thought that was possible, and it still could be. Who knows?
Yeah. So what did you guys think about this whole pruning situation?
Yeah.
I wonder if... Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Keith. Nope.
This is a quick question. I just, in my head, I was wondering, in the, like, after the episode, I wonder if those things, we don't know how they work, but I wonder if they have, like, settings on them, or, like, maybe sometimes you can, like, stun, like, you know, like, fate. You can set them to kill, or you can set them to stun, or you can set them to teleport. Yeah. Something. Who knows?
I mean, that's a very real possibility. We don't know the extent of power those things have. I mean, to us, up until this episode, those seemed like the most freaking powerful things. To literally, you get poked by one and you are wiped off the face of existence. Only to now be like, well, does it do that? Gio, you had some thoughts. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, first off, the device reminds me of Thor Ragnarok and how Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster character, the right hand, had something similar.
Great pull.
Yeah.
You are
the melting stick.
What was that thing? The melting stick. That was it.
The melting stick. So it took me back to that. As far as, and I'm with Jacob again. Like when Mobius, and you as well, Brian. When Mobius went away, I was like, no. But what made it more convincing was Owen Wilson and how he delivered that last line about, you know, when Renslayer asked him, like, if you could be anywhere you wanted to be. And I thought his delivery was the best we've seen in this episode so far, where he talked about like something in like jet skis, right? He
said, you know where I want to be if if I could go anywhere, any timeline. He's like, where I was originally from, where you guys took me from. And then that was great acting by Owen Wilson.
Yeah,
it was.
Absolutely.
Gio, you were very right. That was one of the first times where I completely forgot this is Owen Wilson playing a character. It was very much just the character of Mobius and his actual feelings. So that's a great point out.
Yeah.
Anything else?
If he did die in that moment, his last word was jet ski. They pruned him right as he was saying jet ski.
Yeah.
So
what if she sent him back?
Here's Jake right here. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Jake saying,
something.
"I hope we see him selling jet skis on the beach after his pruning."
I think at the end of the season, we'll see him back in his timeline, with the jet ski somehow, for sure.
I hope so. I mean, I think the one thing universally that I've heard across every fan is that he better be either in, on, or around a effing jet ski by the end of this show. So, I mean, who knows?
Well, he
Especially
also
with these
said that he
endings.
loves. Remember, I think it was episode 2. He said he loves the '90s, like he's infatuated
Yeah.
with the '90s. So I think he's definitely from the '90s for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a safe to assume assumption.
Yeah.
It makes you. I wonder, and just obviously with the reveal of all these people are all variants and stuff. I remember wondering from the very first episode when that one guy that got captured with Loki that they were bringing in, who was like
That didn't have a
"You sure we
ticket?
want-" He didn't have a ticket.
Oh,
And you're just like, who is that guy? Like, how could he have possibly done something in the time stream to disrupt? Like, he just seems like
well,
some
remember
bratty.
they said you could like try to take over the world or whatever, or you could just been late to work that day. Something you did caused
Right.
a Nexus event and created
That
an alternate
is true.
timeline.
Yeah.
So you could do
see,
anything. You could trip over your foot and like something like that, and now
Right.
you're a variant.
And thank you, because
And-
I have a perfect segue to that after Keith is done sharing what he was going to say. Go ahead, Keith.
Okay. Well, and so that right there, it's so arbitrary. It's like who, and it goes right back to Loki asking, like questioning, who are they? Who are you people to judge what is correct for the time stream and what's not? You know. So it kind of obviously
And-
it all comes together. It makes sense.
And I'll be damned if I forget to do images because Jake put so many in. So here we this
No,
shocking
don't show me that again.
that just
Heartbreaking.
ripped your
Spoiler
heart
alert.
out.
And
like-
hey, Loki was
hurt.
devastated when he
Oh,
got
yeah.
killed,
Was, right?
too.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
This is still like a few days removed from trying to take over Earth, Loki. We forget that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then keeping with kind of what Keith and Jacob were just saying about the fact that something as simple as tripping over your shoe, let's say, and that's different than what it is, causes these rifts. The very first thing we saw was that kid Sylvie caused
Right.
one, and
Yeah. Right.
because she was playing with the toys and making the toys be good guys and not acting like a villain. She wasn't acting like a
Nuts.
villain. She was doing good things. Her little toys saved Asgard. Sorry, not Loki. Like, you're supposed to be the
Oh,
villain.
mate, that could have been
And-
it, too.
Oh,
yeah.
I that's what I assumed
Yeah.
is she was playing she was playing with the toys as a hero and not a villain. And because
Mm.
I mean, to the TVA, Loki is a villain, and if she is a part of Loki, that is a Nexus event, essentially creating a new thing, which they took her away from. Geo, smirk. I see. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's just the whole idea, the concept of Nexus events and doing things that you aren't supposed to do. It reminds me of the Final Destination franchise and how, like, if you cheat death or if you do something out of the ordinary, it changes everything. And I look at the TVA as like death itself coming after all these people and, trying to, I don't know, it just reminded me of that, and
That's fair.
but yeah, I mean, like Sylvie in the beginning, first off, I mean, it shows again just how terrible the TVA agents are, how she's able to get away and escape. I mean,
I saw some people speculating that Ravonna let her get away. Did you guys think
didn't.
that?
No.
Like
No,
that?
I didn't
I
think
don't
that.
think that. I'm saying I saw like big YouTube channels saying that, just saying, "Oh, Ravonna let her get away in that scene." I didn't look at it that way.
I didn't look at it that way because
Yeah.
from what we've seen of Ravonna, she's not
Good, yeah. But
someone
hey,
to just
Gugu is
like,
killing it though in the role. She's killing it.
She's making me hate her and as like what a villain should be. But at the same time, I found myself going, "No, don't kill her yet."
Well, the
Like-
actress, she's doing a great job as an actress.
Exactly. Yeah.
When she smirked in the elevator and it says, "I don't remember," that was heartless
that
right
was,
there.
That was harsh.
That
That was-
that was it.
Yeah.
dick.
But
man.
I bet you, because she hasn't aged, right? So she's probably been there for like thousands of years, right? So she's probably done so many variant arrests that like she's not going to remember just one, or she does remember and she doesn't want to give her the satisfaction of telling her. Either way,
it's a slap in the face, right?
yeah.
You're not important enough to remember.
It's it's a Raul Julia Street Fighter moment.
Yeah.
Here's Jake trying to segue to us. When it comes to it, Kang is the ultimate puppet master, with Renslayer being the delivery driver. They manipulated and lied to everyone to control the timeline by creating just one.
Yep, I've been saying that since episode 2.
Yeah, you have.
Excuse me, sir. If you wish to comment that, you gotta leave a Streamlabs, okay? So,
anyway. Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about that, let's talk about the big old elephant in the room and these big old fake-headed guys. The big
Snokes.
the
That's exactly what I thought. Snoke.
I can't believe the way they were talking. It was so weird.
I know.
Right?
I know.
They oh God, those things, when I saw them, you just saw them and were like, those look weird. And they ended up being one of the big 3: aliens, androids, or witches. And they were androids.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny.
There was so much in this episode, guys. There was so much. Like, there's things we're gonna forget to talk about. There, like Mobius saying, like we've captured titans and vampires and all that stuff. That stuff was
that
cool.
line. Yeah,
vampires, get me to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's gonna be good. But the timekeepers being what I said a while ago, very much similar to Oz, which is these giant entities.
That was spot on.
These giant entities that ended up being nobodies, essentially. What did you guys think when this reveal showed up?
I mean, yeah, you guys were spot on. The theories for once were actually correct. Okay, and the timekeepers turned out to be androids, like you said. So it's just like, honestly,
nobody guessed android. I didn't think they were going to be robots.
No, not androids, but
just not real.
I didn't think that we were going to see the timekeepers again this episode. I was like, man,
Me
I kept
too.
looking at my watch. I'm like, how much time is left? But they surprised me. Like that's the one. This episode, more than probably any episode before, I did not want it to end. And
same.
Thankfully,
I kept looking at my watch, like you said, like, because you never know how long these damn credits are. So you're like, oh, we're getting close to what might be the end.
Right.
And when I first saw the Titans the timekeepers at the beginning, I was like, that's literally all we're gonna see. And then, like you said, getting close, you're checking your watch, and then they're going up the elevator, and you're like, we might have time for this. There might be some time there. So I was the same way, Gio.
I will say a nitpick. I thought, okay, so the previous episode was 10 minutes shorter than the most of the ones, right? As far as runtime goes. I would have liked to have some of the TVAs, because I thought maybe they turned a little bit too quickly in this episode. As far
you mean
as
like B-15, like
B-15
her figuring out,
and then Mobius, I thought it happened a little too quickly.
I kind of agree.
I have an argument against that, but go ahead, Gio. Finish your thoughts, Gio.
No, I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I look at the previous episode. It's 10 minutes shorter. Maybe you could have started planting some of those seeds in the previous episode, as opposed to putting it all in one, because there's only 6 episodes left. I mean, go ahead.
That's fair.
What's the counter?
Well, I see what you're saying, but here's the difference. These aren't just beings who were part of the TVA, who are legitimately just created by the TVA and loyal to the TVA, right? If you just found out that you had a life before this and they took it from you, all you have to do is believe that that's true. The moment you believe that that's true, you're like, F the TVA. Like, what the hell? They took my whole life away. And now I'm going to do whatever I can to help take them down. And so it's not like just loyal soldiers who like completely like really
Like
grew up
stormtroopers.
in this and like truly believe in it. Their minds were wiped and they found out that they had real lives. And if anybody found out that, they would instantly turn on the TVA. Yeah. You wouldn't be like, even though they did that, I'm still struggling with turning against the TVA. Nobody would do that.
Well, then it furthers it supports my point of view about the TVA agents being some of the worst soldiers.
Well, all of them are just regular people turned into.
Well, they're people.
I think
that's a good point.
Gio, I think your theory is 100% right. They are horrible at their job because they're not supposed to be doing that job.
Well, here's the thing. Last point on my end, because I know we got a lot of stuff to get through.
You're fine. Make your points.
If it were anybody else but Sylvie, then I could believe in that a little bit more. But you're telling me Sylvie touched you once, and remember, it's Sylvie. It's the big bad of the TVA. Like she has a wanted poster, I'm sure, down every hallway. Like you're just gonna like that quickly believe Sylvie? I mean, it's just.
Who are you talking about?
I understand what B15. If you're talking about B15, yeah. Remember, she said she saw it. Like she saw a memory or what, and she said it felt
that
like
could have been a trick.
Yeah, she asked her, "Is it a trick or not?" And then
so B15 is the one that was in this episode, right? That helped them at the end. Okay, so Sylvie already messed with her, like showed her something earlier that we didn't see, and then she's questioning it the whole time. She sees Mobius in the hallway. She's like, "Did Loki say anything to you?" He said, "Yeah, the TVA's lying to us." And she's like, "Okay," and she's processing the information. She's like, "All right, I gotta go see Sylvie. I'm gonna take her to." She took her to another apocalypse, so nobody would know what they're doing. And then she's like,
she went back to the rock song.
If you're like seeing your own life, I think there's like you can sense it that it's real, And then if you're talking about Mobius, she didn't show Mobius anything. Mobius took a leap of faith and is believing
his
Loki,
friend.
And their friendship has developed so much that he's finally trusting Loki. So that was a leap of faith and diving into that friendship and trusting him. So it was two different situations. I mean, I see what you're saying, Gio, but I just don't agree.
I could see what you're saying. It's, if you compare it to, because I thought about the Matrix, right? And like if you look at the beginning of the Matrix, and like they were establishing Neo knew something was wrong. He felt it, but they didn't really get you don't get that with this show, and because it's only 6 episodes, like you don't get a sense of anyone from TVA being like, this doesn't seem right. And particularly B15. You did get that with C20. So and that's why the comment from John Pedro here.
Yeah, John, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Because
Mobius watched the video too of her, which also influenced his decision as well.
Yeah.
So that's where I think they did it. They did it with her, but not with B15. And so I kind of I see what you're saying, Gio, in that like that character in particular, because she's like the top commander, and then she sees this thing happen, and all of a sudden she completely flips. But I think they were establishing it through other people rather than her. But I mean, it's a valid criticism.
I think for her character, there were just too many red flags that pointed towards what she was thinking. I mean, the C20 thing. She already had the idea in her mind. Plus, Mobius coming out and saying, "Oh, she said we're not real, we're variants," and then her actually showing her basically exactly what she thought. I think there was just too many red flags for her to not believe her at that point, just in that situation. I mean, I know for me, like once I have something in my head and there's even just a little bit of something that can convince me that I'm right, I probably am going to go with it. So, I mean,
yeah, I just think it comes down to how personal it is, right? If they said, "Hey, the TVA is corrupt, like they're bad guys, like shouldn't you help us fight them?" And then the TVA agents, you know, the Minutemen would be like, oh, well, no, I've been working for the TVA my whole life. Like, I'm going to back up the TVA. But if you tell them they stole your life from you, that's a whole other story, is all I'm saying. It's not that just that the TVA is corrupt. They literally stole all these people's lives. So once they believe that that's true, like I said, it's easy to go against the TVA once you know that that's what they did, or once you strongly believe that that's what they did.
I do think it would have served better if they. I do agree with you for that character though. It probably would have served better if at some point prior to this they would have showed.
Lady Sif, anybody?
Perfect. That's a great way to go into it. I mean, while she's figuring this stuff out, Loki's been put in a time loop, and we see the appearance of one Lady Sif, who we have not seen for a long time. We knew
Amy Alexander.
Yeah, we knew and heard that she was going to be in the fourth Thor movie, but none of us expected her to show up here. At least I didn't. I don't know about you guys. A pleasant surprise. Thoughts on seeing her again? Could care less. Liked it.
It was nice. There was a fun moment of Loki getting the Dormammu treatment as far as the time loop goes.
Yeah.
And being trapped in there. But that's it. I mean, talk about being underutilized in the MCU, man. Like, it's nice to see
in the next Thor movie.
Will she?
Yeah, she's already said she filmed her stuff for the next movie. She's in the movie. Like, she's not just going to be a little throwaway character either.
I hope so, man. Like,
well, you gotta remember. I see what you're saying, but this whole and each movie and franchise is different. But it's a big narrative story, so they can pluck a character. We never thought we'd see the Red Skull again, and then 8 years later or whatever, 10 years later, here he comes. Like, they can take a character from before and bring it back at any time. So I see what you're saying, but that I wouldn't rule out underutilized. I mean, yeah, up till now, but maybe now they can rectify that. Maybe it's just a little foreshadowing. Maybe she'll get a little more play going forward. I agree with Jake. Let's just sit back and MCU because she's a big character in this Thor Loki whole Asgardian world. So
yeah, if they didn't want her, they could have just said she died on Asgard when it exploded.
Right.
And then you're done with
and
that
she
character.
obviously wasn't around. The rest of the Warriors 3 was killed like before Asgard exploded.
She's been
the actress
and was like,
she's been doing other stuff. Well, she was on that show.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and the cool thing about this is I don't think they had big plans for that character when they made the first Thor movie, right? But now you have the character. She's still alive as far as we know. You have a really good actress already in the role. Like, it's a character that you can take and elevate from this point forward. So
people are actually finally loving Thor for what it is. And I think her, with the way that Thor is right now, in her stiff kind of humor, could be an interesting new character to put with him, because she kind of is a no nonsense, but it'll be interesting if she is more relaxed. Is she different? Is she still kind of that serious character, whereas Thor's just kind of I'm here to do stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm glad she's coming back, and it's there's not a lot of Asgardians left, right? So that's good that she's there. But this scene in particular, though, as far as it comes to Loki, at first I was like, oh, this is a fun scene. Jamie Alexander's back. But then I'm like, okay, the whole point of that time loop for Loki wasn't for him to just keep getting hit in the nuts over and over again. It was what she was saying that was torturing him, that you're alone and you always will be. And that him just having to hear that over and over and over and over again was the torture that they were giving him. And also, obviously, that ties into him and Sylvie and all this stuff going on. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that comment by Arrow made me laugh really hard.
My brother chopped off one of my braids. Yeah, you put him in a time loop.
Put him in a time loop.
Apologize.
But did you guys pick that up too from that scene? Like that, it was obviously Mobius brought it up too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him break essentially when at one point he was back in there and admit all of his faults and basically kind of just humble himself essentially and explain why he does the things he does. And that was his turning point essentially as the character. So
makes sense.
Anyone else care about that? Want to say anything? No.
I think
Jake
we could move
really
on.
wants her back.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, 100%. So what? All right. So I have a question. Did they fix the timeline already?
Apparently,
since Sylvie like her whole she went through this whole extravagant plan to like create all these Nexus events, and did they already fix it?
That's interesting because I thought the same thing.
That's my one criticism of this episode.
Well, because we saw the timeline again, normal, and then when they were searching for them, and
there was no the main timeline was still in place. Yeah.
And then then when they saw the Nexus event of them connecting,
when they touched,
caused it a huge abnormal event. So
or does that only show current spikes? But it seemed like Renslayer, she wasn't worried about anything anymore after they closed the Loki case.
Yeah, they seemed fine. So I'm guessing it wasn't that big of a deal, which is kind of shocking to me. Like, I agree. When I saw that the timeline was flat and there weren't red lines coming out of it, I was like,
well, remember last week we were like, this is the start of the multiverse of madness. And now it's not, apparently.
Yeah, no, well, you're 100% right.
At least not the way they're telling it.
Yeah, that's true.
Clearly,
but I think that ties into this connection between... Oh, well, it's confirmed that she's a Loki. We didn't know that until this episode. That 100% that she's for sure a Loki. That's confirmed. Then also, so them... And I don't necessarily think it's a romantic connection. It doesn't. I think it's just more of a like they understand each other.
It depends on how you look at it.
It could be.
It depends on how you look at it because it could be just a means of him loving himself. If they are in fact
accepting himself.
Yes, and Keith's shaking his head, which makes me think he agrees. Go ahead, Keith. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, to a certain degree, because remember, he just kept referring to him as a narcissist, and no one loves themselves more than a narcissist. So, I don't know. I think you're right. Maybe yes, there's probably maybe both levels there of yes, accepting himself, but also it's him. So he's really, like I don't know.
Hey, I see Jake's comments. I'm not against it being a romantic relationship. It's just another version of himself, which
is funny because
that, I guess. But
if it is what Jake is saying, 100% a romantic connection as it should be, he's falling in love with himself.
Exactly, and Mobius even calls that out. Like I'm okay with that. I just don't know if it is for sure yet.
Well, and see, it makes sense in the sense of the fact that I would assume when they saw that it spiked like straight up, that when they said, we've never seen something like this, where two of the same variant are
connecting
falling
like that,
in love, connecting like they are. I'm assuming falling in love because this can eventually lead to us talking about the end credit post scene of other Lokis. I mean, because they're obviously together, meeting up and hanging out and stuff. So that it's not that they're like around each other. It's the fact that they might be falling in love with each other that is causing this existential crisis.
No, it makes sense because last episode they had like a 10-minute conversation about love, right?
This is also not a bad point, Rachel.
I think that's
or just like showing signs of like humanity and like having a soul. Like basically, it could be that like they both probably haven't cared about anybody that much for so long. I mean, obviously we know Loki cares about Thor and everything and his family, but he never really connected with any of them like this, maybe other than his mother,
Mm-hmm.
And it's also two variants of the same being connecting like that. So
yeah. Gio, thoughts?
I mean, there's definitely a romantic, aspect to it. Right before Loki gets, what do they call it? Pruned. It seems like he's about to tell her, that.
Well, he says, "This is new for me." Yeah.
This is new for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you guys would agree in Rise of Skywalker when Finn is going down, he's telling Rey the same thing. It's the same thing.
Okay, good. Finn can like Rey all he wants. Rey is all about Ben Solo, all right?
No. J.J. Abrams was all about Ben Solo.
Oh my
so
God.
here's the thing.
Okay, so
we don't know. We don't know what they were going to say because they didn't tell us. So it doesn't matter. But they opened it up. They opened the can 3 times, and then they didn't.
I mean, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, oh, look, see, I was right.
So I want to touch on one thing, and just how evil she was in this episode. Like, she was so. Like, we saw that she was clearly following a strict plan devised by someone who I feel at this point is relatively safe to assume it's Kang the Conqueror.
Well, even the time gods or whatever, timekeepers, they look like him.
Exactly.
Especially the middle one.
The middle one definitely
yes.
is. Yeah.
The middle one did look like him. They are wearing even kind of like helmets that look like his. But yeah, we see she's got her little stash of trophies that she has from taking these variants down. She had that video of her interrogating C-20, and I'm assuming killing her. After that,
dead, yeah.
After that, pruning her, I should say. After that realization that she is not what she says she is. Any speculations, thoughts with her, Keith?
Okay, all right, my slow computer is taking a second to bring up Rachel's comment here. Okay, I was thinking about this the entire time. She's threatening Loki because, like, they have obviously what they call Valhalla. Saw both his parents turn into little sparkles and go there. So that's what I was wondering. Like, for them, at least in Asgardian, like they have an afterlife for sure.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that the whole time.
So does Loki not being a blood Asgardian change that though?
Well,
he dies.
I don't know what. I wonder if that. I wonder if in the 9 realms that's their afterlife.
Oh, like for everybody.
It could be any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I just think it's also funny how she was so like willing to get pruned. Like she was kind of antagonizing her to do it.
Oh, she was like, do it. Yeah.
So that also makes me think like a little bit.
Like she knows what's up.
Yeah. Kind of like, because she was just kind of like, go ahead, do it. Like, and then Lady Loki or Sylvie.
Does it seem like she like hates her job, but she has to do it no matter what?
Kinda, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a variant, personally.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm sure there's people who know a lot about this character from the comics. I personally don't, but I'm wondering,
she's apparently like ruthless.
If
in the
Kang
comics.
is involved somehow, like, do you think like she's working directly with him, like they're working together, or he's forcing her to do this? Like, I mean, we have no idea. It would be a pure guess if we were to talk about it right now.
A little bit of
Go
both.
either way.
A little bit of both, probably. Okay, well, Jake thinks that she's being lied to.
Possibly, yeah. That could make sense. I just like. I mean, you
I'm
guys
curious,
know I've been
Gio. What do you think?
high on that character, that actress, for a long time.
Yeah,
It
you
depends.
have.
Did she know the timekeepers were not real?
Do you
'Cause
think
otherwise
she knew?
Otherwise, she plays it off pretty well.
I
Yeah.
think
She
she must
knew?
have known, right?
I think she knew, personally. I think she knows everything.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Because she didn't act like she would have been like, oh my goodness, like. I feel like if she didn't know, she probably wouldn't have like pruned Loki and all that. She would have been like shocked and just been like, "What's going on?" You know, like. So I think she knew.
She never wanted anyone. Yeah, she was like always the whole time like no one sees them. I'm the only one that can see them. Like nobody could go in there or know who they were or what was going on in that room, or they wouldn't let anybody near it. So
That's true. Well, I mean, we've hit all of my main talking points except for the biggest one. There was a post-credit scene, our very first one, for Loki, and boy, was it a good one. We see 4 different, variants, if you will, of Loki. We finally see Richard E. Grant. He is titled as Classic Loki. We see that young guy as Kid Loki. And then we see the Loki with what I would assume to be a hammer. And he is titled as Boastful Loki. And there is no title for the crocodile-looking one, so I'm calling him Croco-Loki.
The crocodile actor doesn't get any credits. That's
so I'm going between Croaky and Crocoloki.
Ooh,
Jake
I like both of
preferred
those.
Crocoloki when I asked him. Croaky is also.
So if
in
it's
my
Croaky,
opinion.
it's spelled with a K. Croki. Croaky.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, gentlemen, thoughts. Gio, go. I want you to go first, if you don't mind.
I was not expecting this. I totally forgot that we haven't seen Richard E. Grant up to this point. And I was getting ready to press the back button on my Xbox controller and like, okay, cool. I can go to bed now. It's like 2 a.m. But man, I'm sure glad I did not miss this.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I had to rewind it and pause it. That's all I'm saying.
Richard E. Grant, man, he's just like, okay, this is a fun role. This is a role for my grandchildren, and why not? Let's have some fun. I've earned it.
He looks so good. Such a classic. Literally, I mean, his name is Classic Loki.
I hope somehow
the classic Loki look.
I hope somehow his Loki stays around in the MCU somehow.
That'd be pretty cool.
Are those visions
keep going,
tights?
Gio. I cut you off. Are the what?
I was saying, are those visions tights from the Halloween episode of WandaVision?
I
They
mean,
look almost the
very,
same.
very similar. They're very similar.
It seems like every Loki from every timeline ever has a horned crown thing.
Of course.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Go, Gio. Finish. I cut you off. Go finish what you were saying about it.
No, I mean that's it. I got one more thing I'm gonna say, but it has nothing to do with Loki.
This.
But,
Okay. Keith,
I
Jacob.
don't know.
Go ahead, Keith.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There's a a destroyed city in the background. I don't know if that's
So where are they?
So
yeah.
if you look, not in that picture, it got cut off. There is a destroyed Avengers Tower in the background.
Oh wow,
which leads me to believe it's New York. And I told Jake what I think it is if Loki had succeeded in Avengers, this was the result of what happened to Earth. Is this just destructed Earth? Now, that doesn't mean that all of these Lokis were there, but it just might be where they're hiding. Oh, okay, see, I did not see potentially the Sanctum. I definitely saw Avengers Tower because I saw the
so it's so weird though. So I think all of these Lokis were pruned. And
probably it makes sense.
Why are they going here when you're pruned? Where do you like? I mean, we have no idea, right? So does every Loki go to the same place? That's what it seems like. So like
maybe
every Mobius goes to the same place. You know, that's maybe what it seems like. But I mean, I guess we have no idea. But it was just cool to see. I want a Croc-Loki spinoff.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Croc-Loki.
I loved Croc-Loki. What do you think, Keith?
I know. So that's my eye immediately went to Richard E. Grant. I was like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
You know, we went for him the whole time. But yeah, why is that? I was the lizard one, crocodile. Why is he not
Croc-Loki?
Croc-Loki should have been a frog, man. They always done. They turn
No, they
into
can't.
a frog all the time.
Yes, that's why. Jake.
Well, so they should be different animals, though. That's what I'm saying. Like they shouldn't be the same animal.
Oh, okay.
So in comics, Frog is Thor Frog.
Yeah.
And so I do not know if Croc-Loki is his villain or anything, but for the love of God, if you give me Throg, I will be so happy. Because if you've never looked up Throg, go look it up. He is a literal tiny frog that looks like Thor. He has an itty bitty teeny hammer, and he fights full on. Yeah, he fights full on Thanos in comics and everything. So
I've seen Frog pop up in the animated shows. I think it was Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, where Throg shows up. And that's my exposure to him.
He's so cool, and I want him so bad.
Do we know the origins of that? Does Loki turn him into a frog? Is that how that happens?
I believe that is what it is. I believe so. Yeah. So, God, I hope that.
Didn't he reference it in Ragnarok? Didn't he
something? That's what I think too. Like, yeah, something like that. But yeah, so like Jake said, he fights Thanos and kicks his ass at one point.
Well, I remember like in Ragnarok, they're talking about how Loki turned into a snake or something.
Yeah,
and he's like, because he knows I love snakes, and then he turned back and he said, it's me, and stabbed me. Like, remind me of that.
Yeah.
I also want to say the importance of the fact that yet again, there is a young Avenger being introduced in a new Marvel property. Young Loki is considered a young Avenger.
Hey, whoever that actor is pulling off that look so well. Like he looks so confident. Yeah. Like he looks like he thinks he's the shit. Like and that's 100%. What Loki does. So that's cool.
So, I mean, again, another young Avenger introduced. We've seen at least one in every single new Marvel TV show with Tommy and Billy. We saw Patriot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now we have young Loki. We already know we're getting Kate Bishop. The ball keeps rolling, and it can't be anymore.
I was like, at first I was like the one saying they're not gonna do Young Avengers, and now there's so many. It's like, oh my god, they're totally like
you got the twins.
We have
Patriot. Go ahead.
Got the Ironheart series coming up.
Oh,
Ironheart.
Exactly. And so they're planting the seeds for this.
Yes.
They're planting all the
Marvel. Seeds. Yeah. So
Kevin
I mean,
Feige.
Yeah, this man, he thinks 10 years ahead. So the Young Avengers is clearly a thing that will be happening at some point. But yeah, I cannot wait to see Richard E. Grant as this classic Loki. By the way, boastful Loki, completely new. There's no such thing as a boastful Loki.
Like, what is that hammer? Like, I wonder if it's enchanted.
I looked it up. Jake told me. I heard it from a few other people. That is a completely new character for this show.
Okay.
So I'm actually, never mind. I'm not going to say.
Well, no, I heard some people speculating that they think it's a version of Mjolnir. Like, so, but we'll find out.
I'm sure it will be. Thank you, John. Supposedly Hulkling will be in She-Hulk. That's another Young Avenger. It's just, the ball is rolling in the Young Avengers. Gio, I know you had one last thing before we wrap it up, but go for it, sir.
I mean, there's no more question about it. There's no more doubts about it, guys. This, once again, confirms that this December, we about to see 3 different versions of a certain character on the big screen. This is it right here, okay? Like, there's no question about it. Don't worry about spoilers or anything or reveals. I mean, this is as clear as it gets. Crystal clear.
Gios just brings this up so that way we can eventually start talking about it with him around.
I've been saying it for months. We getting 3 Spider-Men on screen this December. I can't wait. Holy crap.
Gio's excited about something Marvel.
I mean,
my U.S. Agent Pop figure comes in 2 weeks. So,
what? How are you getting yours so late? My guy just.
Oh, hey, put him on camera.
Look at how beautiful he is. He's so cool.
How do I give you the one shot? There you go.
There you go. Look at how cool he is.
Wow.
He doesn't have a shield though. So
that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's Jake. U.S. Agent is Jake's worst enemy.
Oh yeah.
U.S. Agent.
So look, I told you guys this was my most anticipated show for MCU on Disney Plus that we know of so far, and it is not disappointing. I am like, I can't tell you guys how many times I've rewatched these episodes. Not too many, but like more than anybody should. Like I've been watching, like every day I just think about the show and I want to rewatch it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting people in my household to watch it with me. So I love this show. It's just because I love the Loki character so much. And then they're adding all this stuff around him, which is great. So thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Can't wait for the next 2 episodes.
It just gets you very excited for the things that are to come because each show is very different. I mean, they're vastly different from each other. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I
love WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier too. I love both those shows. I do say that, but it's fine.
You evading taxes or something, bro.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, it's. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to ask, what percentage odds do you think we will? I don't think we'll see Kang, but what percentage odds do you think we'll actually hear his name?
I thought he was going to turn the corner in this episode so bad. Like at the end, I thought he was.
Someone's going to say that it's him.
It's a guarantee we're gonna see him.
You think that I'm starting to think that he will be mentioned but not shown.
they're gonna
But
do.
they have to. Yeah.
They're gonna do the thing that they did at the end of the Avengers, where like you know how they teased Thanos and he turned around
Okay.
and you know.
If anything, it would be that. Yep.
Mhm.
That's a great idea, Gio. That is a very good idea. That
Well, the
Okay.
thing is, if they don't, then what? The whole point is like, what's going on with the TVA? Who's behind the TVA?
I beat
look
you
at
to
great
it.
minds think.
I beat
Great
you
minds
to it.
think alike.
Ooh,
Ah, look,
literally,
he's
like
he's
at the
saying he
same
beat you.
time.
Nope. Check the
It
tape.
was like in the same moment you guys had the thought. But I just think, look, Loki said, who's behind the TVA? Like,
Yeah.
How do you have a climactic like conclusion to this show and not show him? You know?
You need to know who's responsible for the TVA after this. Like, so I agree.
Yeah,
Jake's
and I think it's
that's
more
sassy
so.
right now.
Whatever, what do they call it? The main timeline. What do they call
the
it?
sacred timeline.
The
The sacred timeline. Whatever the
Yeah.
sacred timeline is, leads to Kang being in it ruling. So that's
Yeah.
why he has to protect this one timeline, and he's like, nope, these other timelines are not existing.
Yeah.
So, or maybe that multiversal war or whatever was he won.
It might even just be the fact that he can't
Yeah.
control so many
Yeah.
timelines that if he has one, he can control it. So
There we go.
That
The
was a
TVA is
Nexus
freaking
event.
out right now.
yeah,
Hey,
there
so
was
real
a
quick.
spike.
Real quick, because I know we have to wrap it up, but it's a given that we all know what's gonna happen, right? The multiverse is gonna expand, right? Multiverse of madness. This is nothing new. It's all about how is it going to happen. So, like, does anybody have any theories? I mean, does Sylvie find out everything and then like decides to bring back not just one Loki but multiple because maybe Renslayer knows that when we don't actually kill them, they're sent to wherever, you know, like
Purgatory type
any
thing.
last theories or anything. I'm just curious.
Dude, I have no idea. This show is just so takes you one way and then turns you right back around.
What is that scene in the trailer where you see Loki like standing there, like, and I don't know what he has, like a ripped suit on or something, and has his horns back.
President
like,
Loki.
He's like, what did you expect or something like that?
Yeah, President.
So is that this world that they're in? I don't know.
We don't know. That's what
Or
Jake
have
is
we seen that
predicting.
image? What's the shot of him?
That's a great
on the
point.
throne, like,
Yeah, that's true. There is a shot of him.
Oh,
near
so this
Asgardian
show
throne.
will probably, like with Jake's last comment, probably will lead to the multiverse of madness because the TVA is going to be taken down. They're the only thing preventing the multiverse from expanding. So,
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know, yeah.
So something along those lines, yeah. Anyone else? Last comments before we wrap this up?
No.
I
don't know. For whatever reason, for this episode, like the theme really stood out.
It's great. It fits the show. So it's very regal too, like that Asgardian, like epic feel.
Yeah. Well, I think that is going to do it for us in the Marvel Rewind. I mean, we went an hour, well worth it because this was such a fantastic episode. And I mean, the next one should be, I'm hoping, just as good, especially when you have those characters and Loki showing up. It should be a fun ride. So make sure that you come back next week, 7:30, same day on Wednesday, where we will discuss the 5th episode, penultimate episode of Loki. Maybe Jake will get on here and we can do all 5 of us. But for Apocalypse Movies and the Marvel Rewind, I'm Brian. This is Gio, Keith, and Jacob. Thank you guys again so much for stopping by, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
I beat you to it, Jake. I beat you to it.